we haven't done this in a while, so why don't we catch up? Because there's been a few weeks since our last show.
Yeah.
Winners and losers presented by Discover. And why don't we start with the Blue Jackets?
Yeah,
Fish?
the cannon gets 3 big booms, boom, boom, boom from me for being something that I've wanted to see on a Columbus Blue Jackets jersey for a very long time. Arda, the cannon logo, it's an iconic part of the franchise. They fire the cannon when somebody scores a goal at home games, as you know. As anyone who remembers Boomer the mascot will tell you, it can be fraught to use the cannon. You gotta watch out about using the cannon. But these jerseys look so sharp. I mean, look at that logo. It could be a primary mark for them going forward. Also, on the shoulder of theirs.
There it is. Hi, buddy.
Oh, boy, did I miss that cannon. On the shoulder is also a new CBJ logo that's inspired by the kinds of pins that Union Army soldiers wore on their hats.
Awesome.
The CBJ jerseys, awesome all around. The cannon on the front's my favorite thing.
And I love the detail and the thought that goes into them, the intricacies, and it's nice to discover them as well. So, by the way, don't ever stand in front of the cannon. That's me and Nasher, one of the best content creators. Yeah, that was scary.
You're way too close to the cannon.
Yeah, there's luckily, if not for that plexiglass, I would not be here.
Are you using Miracle Ear right now to talk to me? Because I don't know how that happened where you're that close to the camera. Loser for me, I mentioned it briefly, the college spirit. They're playing at the Ohio State University. They're playing in the Horseshoe. You would imagine that with the Ohio-Michigan rivalry at the forefront of this Stadium Series game, that these two teams would be a little bit more aesthetically aligned with the Wolverines and the Buckeyes. Not the case. I spoke with fanatics in the NHL about this, by the way. The Blue Jackets did want to use those Buckeye stickers that we just saw on the back of the Ohio State football helmets. They wanted to use those for the game. Ohio State apparently very stingy with the trademarks, and they were not allowed to use the Buckeye stickers on the helmets for this game.
Fair enough. Not necessary. The fact that it's happening at the Ohio
State University.
Yeah, at Ohio Stadium, shoe, is a win in itself because we've been waiting for this for a very, very long time for Columbus to have an outdoor game. Speaking of which, Columbus Blue Jackets fans have been waiting a long time for that team to be competitive and in playoff position, which they very much are, which leads me to a winner, East-ageddon. I don't know if it's a winner for every single team because I'm sure that a lot of teams would have loved to be in firm playoff position with no other teams nipping at their heels right now.
A quick check of the standings tells me that it's not something that Buffalo is all that happy about.
Well, you don't see the Islanders, the Rangers, or the Sabres here, and certainly the trade deadline will make the picture a little bit more clear. But I will say this, the Sabres included, it's not complete out of the realm of possibility that any team in the Eastern Conference could possibly at least be battling for a wild card spot by the end of the regular season.
And we should say that the Lightning have a few games in hand on the Bruins in that picture too, so the Bruins are a little bit more wild card centric. It's going to be a great race. I tend to believe that some of the teams that are a little bit lower in the standings will move up in the standings. We'll talk about that a bit later. But when you look at the West and how set things feel right now out there, it's good to have at least one conference where it's utter chaos down the stretch.
I want to say this one thing before we move on. So if the Eastern Conference gets settled on the final day of the regular season, which it very much could, last year it was the second last day of the regular season. Let me read out the games that are happening on April 17th, the final day of the regular season.
All right.
Capitals and Penguins. Islanders and Blue Jackets. Bolts and Rangers. Wings and Leafs. Canes and Senators. Flyers and Sabres. Yes, all Eastern Conference matchups. Can you imagine, Wish?
Man, Leafs and Wings with Detroit needing a win to get in would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would. It would.
Kindling a little original six rivalry. Loser for me, goalie patience. Goalie patience is a loser for me because no one has it anymore. We saw it earlier this year when the Colorado Avalanche nuked their crease and created a whole new goaltending tandem. Obviously, that worked for them greatly because Mackenzie Blackwood not only has been stopping everything, I should say, since he was acquired from San Jose, but earned himself a contract extension after only like 5 games. But now we see the Pittsburgh Penguins being adios, Tristan Jarry, their primary starter over the last couple of seasons, gets put on waivers and sent down. He obviously blew a game for them this week against the Seattle Kraken. 2 goals in the third period in under a minute. If they're going to climb back in the race, I don't think Tristan Jarry is the goalie to do it, but it just goes to show you that it's ruthless now out there. If your goalie's not performing, we're going to be aggressive about it.
Yeah. and a goaltender may or may not be part of our midseason award. Spoiler alert, yes, there are goaltenders involved. A winner for me, Jessica Campbell. Obviously, much has been documented about her being a pioneer in the league, the first female assistant coach in NHL history. But what I want to throw flowers at here is her social media content.
All right.
She's also pioneering behind the scenes and content, particularly on Instagram. Definitely go and follow her if you don't. The reason I love it is because we are not used to getting this kind of content and this kind of glimpse, BTS, from coaches in the National Hockey League.
Right.
And I would love nothing more than for Jessica Campbell not only to continue this because we love the content as hockey fans, but to be a trailblazer to inspire other, let's just say, assistant coaches to own this space, to be the ones that bring us the coach content that we are sorely missing in the NHL right now, that Jess is clearly proving is necessary and wanted from hockey fans.
It's exciting. I mean, granted, I would say 60% of the assistant coaches in the league probably will have to figure out how to use the camera on their phones to make that happen. But you're absolutely right. Like, look at what we're seeing here. This is stuff that we don't normally get to see. If we do get to see it, it's probably from a social media team. It's really cool to see. And she's been, as you said, an inspiration. I saw a video recently where somebody had an interaction with her where she signed someone's jersey and everybody lost their mind.
Amazing.
It's great. It's
yes,
awesome.
Amazing. We don't need trade secrets. We don't need to be in the video rooms, you telling us all everything that's happening with the team and strategies. Go look at Jess Campbell's Twitter. Use that as inspiration. Use that as motivation to give us content from the coaching point of view because it's necessary, in my opinion.
There you go. Finally, our final loser in Winners and Losers. Potential hockey drama. We almost had a great feud, Arda. We almost had a great one. We already have one in Vancouver between JT Miller and Elias Pettersson. In Boston, there was a radio report this week about a rift between Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak. Both the players shut it down pretty quickly. Marchand doth protest too much by dumping around 1,000 photos of the two of them on Instagram. Listen, it sounds like one of those things, Arda, where there may be a kernel of truth, maybe some disagreement at some point between the two that was then turned into a giant thing that it wasn't supposed to be. But Pastrnak and Marchand did a lot of work this week to say, hey, everything's cool, don't worry about us. And we could have had bi-coastal hockey dramas, Vancouver, Boston. Alas, they're besties.
It would have been like the 2011 Stanley Cup final of drama. That's what it would have been. It would have just been like,
that final had enough drama. Oh, my God.
Right, exactly. I like how Marchand handled it, too, by the way. I just love that he's just completely shut it down, and he went at the reports. And, sometimes you got to do that in order to establish. And I love that he put up an Instagram post afterwards, like everything,
He put up a lot of Instagram posts. He put up enough Instagram posts where you're like, it's like a celebrity marriage that people think on the rocks, and then they put up like a few too many photos on Instagram
so
to indicate everything's fine.
You're saying the overcorrection.
I'm just saying, I've seen this before as a fan of celebrity culture. I've seen it before.